Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to take some vinyl and create a decal. We're going to talk about how to cut, weed, and apply our decals. So stick around. Hi everybody, it's Angela Flip and Flutter Creations, and today we are going to learn how to use our Cricut Explore Air to cut, weed, and put together a vinyl decal. So I realized that one of the more popular videos that I have is how to cut and weed HTV. And so I thought it would be good to also have a complimentary video to go along with that on how to cut and weed regular vinyl, like our sticker vinyl. Now I use Oracle 651 for my decals. Unless it's something maybe that's going on a wall and might need to be removed, then I use Oracle 631. Sometimes I'll use printed vinyl that I get from Zindy or 143vinyl.com, and I'll link some of those down below. But for the most part, I stick with my Oracle 651. I've used it for a long time. I trust that one. There are a lot of new brands coming out, and longtime brands that are now getting into sticker vinyl as well, and it's starting to become pretty popular. So you just got to play around and find the vinyl that works for you and has the longevity that you are looking for in your vinyl and for what project you're doing. So the decal I'm doing today is actually going to be for this little sign that I picked up at, I think I got it at the Dollar Tree, or I got it at, I think, Family Dollar. And it's just this little sign that's going to sit on my desk, and I want to put my logo on it. And so I picked this one to do for the tutorial because my decal is two colors. It's black and it's purple. And I just want to show you how to put together a decal that is more than just one color. So I am going to do a vinyl decal tutorial here shortly on a large decal that's just one color that I'm going to actually put up on the wall. And I'm going to show you how to, cut, weed, and then apply that up on a large surface. So we're going to do that at another time. So I'll be working on that. But for now, let's jump into Cricut Design Space and get going. Okay, so here I am in Cricut Design Space. I have my decal here ready to cut. I already have the layers that go together grouped. Actually, I brought it in with the two different colors grouped and ready to go. Now I am cutting it fairly small, so I'm afraid some of my detail work here isn't going to be as perfect as I would like it, but this is the prime opportunity for me to show you what happens when something is a little too detailed, what happens with your decal. So we're going to try it out. We're going to see it. I may have to recut it maybe and take some of these little pages out so that I don't have a bunch of little lines that don't cut properly. So I have it set at 4.25 by 4.226 because this little thing that I have here, this little signboard, I believe is a little under 4.5 wide. And it is, it's plenty long enough, but it's the width that's the issue. It's actually about it's about 4.5. So 4.25. So I may actually go down to 4.2 maybe on that to make sure that I don't go too close to the edge. So I'm just going to fix that real quick and resize that. It didn't resize a whole lot because I didn't really need it to be a whole lot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click cut. Now, if I had a decal or an image that has 3 different sections of purple and 2 sections of black, your big thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you attach anything that you want to stay in place. And I have a whole video on how to attach, which I can link up above here. And so you may want to check that out if you don't know how to do that. But you definitely want to make sure that you have anything you want to stay together that's the same color. You want to have those attached so that when it cuts it directly together, ready to be compiled. So I will say there's also one other little tip that you can do, and that is if you're new to creating decals and layering things, you can put a little box on each of your layers so that when you cut it, like let's say, I could actually put it right here because nothing's going to be in this hole. so that way I don't waste anything, any kind of little space. So I'm going to actually put a box right here, and I'm going to make that purple. Okay. And then I'm actually going to duplicate it, and I'm going to make this one black. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those together. And just to make sure that I have them exactly the same, I'm going to align center, center. Now I have this random box. I know it seems very strange why I have these boxes. I'm going to explain why in just a second. So what I want to do, I'm going to ungroup this because I don't actually need this grouped. I had it grouped while I was resizing it. So I have my black layer and my black layer I'm selecting, and I'm going to attach them, because remember, if you want anything to stay in place, you have to attach. Now I'm selecting my purple, and I'm attaching. Now, when we click make it, now you're going to have your black layer, and here's the little box. And then I have my purple layer, and it's got that little box. I'm not going to keep those little boxes on there whenever I actually finalize my decal. Those are going to be used to help me line the two layers up so everything lines up perfectly. I forget what that little box is called when you do something like that, but basically it'll help you line up your layers, especially if you're doing multiple layers. It's just that sometimes you have to be careful where you place the box so that it doesn't accidentally interfere with what you're cutting. All right, so I don't need to mirror these or anything like that, because they're not like HTV where you have to mirror it before you cut it. The way that we cut our vinyl is we actually cut it with the purple side, the color side up, and the side on the back that has like the Oracle 651, we cut that. We put that down on our mat. So we're going to get ready to do that. So let me go ahead and click continue. I'm going to put, well, actually, it might help if I connect my machine, guys. So I'm just getting all my pieces ready. I like to try and have it ready to go. When I'm cutting decals or anything like that, I always make sure that I have all my colors ready to go, so I can just boom, 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 next mat, next mat, next mat. I've got my base material set to vinyl. I already have it flashing. I just need to actually put my mat in and click cut and click cut. So I'm going to switch you over to the camera so that you can see me do this on the Cricut. I need about 3.5 by 4-inch piece of black, and that's what color we're going to start with. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my pieces and have them ready to go. I usually cut a little extra just to be safe. So I'm just going to cut this down and get it on here, and then I'll cut my purple. My purple needs to be a 5 by 5. So there we go. I think I had some tape on there from the decal. Not usually a roll vinyl person. Normally I get sheets, except for HTV. I don't mind if that one's in a roll. But regular vinyl, the rolls can be kind of difficult to work with because of the, well, rolling. But I'm trying it out because there was a sale from a company I purchased from, and I thought, well, I'll go ahead and try it. And so I got a couple rolls. They roll them kind of tight compared to another vendor I use, so I'm not sure if I like that or not. These are kind of rolled kind of tightly. So I don't know. So it's been a little bit hard trying to get that, you know, on there right. Okay, so I'm going to open this back up. Okay, so I've got my black sized out. I've got it with the blue mat, the shiny side up, and the decal ready to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and load my mat. Click my little arrow. And I have it set on my first mat, which is the black mat. And I'm going to go ahead and click cut. Okay, so this one's done. We're going to go ahead and pull it out, and it looks great. It actually looks like that cut did pretty well right there. So pretty happy about that. There we go. All right, so again, one thing whenever you're pulling the vinyl off, I like to pull the mat from the vinyl, not the vinyl from the mat, because that keeps it from curling up this way so it could curl up like that, and we don't want that because I have bent some of my vinyl before. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to go ahead and put my purple layer on. Okay, and again, I'm just going to put it up here in the corner, color side up, get that on there, just push that down, make sure there are no pieces pulling up, and then I'm going to go ahead and slide that in. I've got my Cricut on my second mat, which is my purple mat, and I'm going to go ahead and click the flashing Cricut. Okay, there we go. And again, I'm going to peel the mat from my vinyl very carefully so that I don't bend my vinyl. I'd rather bend my mat a little bit. Okay. Now I will say, if you are working with vinyl, if you will just use one mat for vinyl that you do not use with your other materials, like I have one mat that I only use for HTV and for Oracle vinyl. I don't use paper or cardstock or any of that with the vinyl with the mat that I use for my vinyl, and this mat has lasted me a really long time because of that. So I'm just going to kind of close up my Cricut to move it out of the way. I'm going to click finish in Cricut Design Space, that way it can go back, and then we will look at putting this together. I'm going to get my pen 143 vinyl, and with regular vinyl, the easiest thing is to start on the outside edge, and I just use my tool to kind of peel up the side, and then just make sure that you are not accidentally having any of your vinyl come up. So I started around the outside edge, and then I'm going to slowly make my way through here. Oh, there went my light. I think we're okay without it. Sorry guys, my lights died. Forgot to charge them after my last video, so we're just gonna hope it's okay that we don't need them. Now I could have like cut out this circle so I could have saved some of this vinyl, but I'm kind of lazy for that. The sticker vinyl is only, what, 30 something cents each or whatever, 72 cents. I can't think right now. It depends on what size you're getting. Okay, so there. And so then I've weeded out any of the areas that I don't want to be seen. So that would be any letters that have the little pieces there. And you can see because they have like the cut section. So like the A had something there, the R, the O, and then I just cut around. And here's my box. I'm going to leave that there. That's my purple box. And I'm going to move over to the black. It's a little hard for you to see. Okay, hey, there we go. Now you can see all these pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weed out the outer edge, and then I'm going to weed inside these pieces here. So like inside the F from flip, the L, and inside the book, whatever pieces I don't want. So you are weeding out anything that you don't want to be seen. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started on this one. And I'm going to flip this over. See if that's a little better. Okay. This is my new setup in my office, so I apologize. I'm still testing out some ways to record. And so you just want to be really careful with letters that you peel up, and you try to make sure that you don't accidentally peel up something that you need to keep. Because sometimes some of the fonts are not very friendly, especially at the little teeny tiny pieces. But this seems to be doing really well. Like I didn't even have a problem with that eye. The dots on the eyes are always an issue for me. I try not to curl up my vinyl too quickly because sometimes I'll realize, oh no, I lost a piece. So now I'm just going through and I'm just peeling off. Ooh, careful, careful. There we go. Don't want it to accidentally fall on one of the other pieces. I'm just peeling off all the pieces in between with my weeding tool. And you can see the cut lines pretty good. There are a couple, like this A was so tiny that the the piece in the center isn't really, it's kind of non-existent. But I'm just going around, I'm just going to pull all these little pieces out. Sometimes you'll get a little piece like this pea that pretty much just got in my fingernail there. And we're just boop, boop, going all the way around. Okay, so then I come to my book. And I have to be careful with my book that I get the right thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one of my business cards over so I can see what I should see here. Because the layers that got cut are very, very tiny. There we go. There's one. Ah, it fell down on top of the other layers. Okay, there we go. Whew. Layers are really hard to see. This would be when I should just get out my light pad. I have a light pad. I don't have a Cricut one, but I have a off-brand one I got for Christmas a couple years ago. Honestly, it's just more work to pull it out than it's worth. It doesn't help me that much. I would say it works best on glitter vinyl. That's when it's the most helpful. I'm just looking here for these little pieces. It's hard to tell. There's that one. Woo. Note to self, don't cut this layer, this logo again this small. Oops, I was supposed to keep that. Whoops. Shoot. I do that a lot too. Luckily, this one's for me. I have had to recut people's decals because I accidentally weeded the wrong piece. Okay, so the center of the book is actually coming out. Whoopsies. I should have started from the outside and then also did the inside, and that way I could see which layers. It's very hard for me to see on this one just because of how tiny it is, and then it's black. And then again, my lights kind of took a kaput on me. All right, so then this piece should actually be coming out. There we go. Boop. All right. Well, I broke it a little bit there, but again, it's for me. Not super worried about it. It's actually not terrible. All right, so I need to take the book out first. Boop. The big open page. Being very careful with my other pieces. And there we go. Boop. Okay, this side was definitely easier so far. Oh, got it. Ooh, teeny tiny. Just got to get on in there. Just be as careful as you can. Sometimes you got to hold down the other slice, the other little pieces, to try and keep from peeling up something that you didn't want. The one thing I will say about sticker vinyl is that because it's sticky, you can like stick it to your fingers like I've done, and that does help quickly to just keep your momentum going. And then I just throw that away. Okay, so I still have the F. Guess that was the only thing. All right, so now I have my black layer done. So I have my black and I have my purple, and I have the little square that's going to line up perfectly with both of these pieces if I do this correctly. So when it comes to vinyl decals, you want to get your transfer tape, which I have several different kinds. I'm going to pull them down for you. Okay. I have several different kinds that I use. The kind I use when I'm working with my clients is this one it's actually an Oracle. It's the Oracle application Aura tape. I use this whenever I'm doing decals that I sell for my clients. This is a nicer kind of transfer tape. This big roll I love. This I use when I am transferring things that are not going to a client, or that I have that I'm transferring onto something else just temporarily. It's not going to be something I'm going to ship or put in the mail because it has no backing. So basically I need to go ahead and apply it as soon as I'm done, whereas this has a backing on it. So once I'm done getting everything on the transfer tape, I can apply it on the back of this piece to ship it or whatnot. So I like this because it comes in such a thick roll and I can just use it like I'm going to do today, which is for a project that's for me. And then sometimes I will use this just Dollar Tree table cover. It's like just a magic cover. It's basically just $1 for a nice size roll, and it will work on things that you're just quickly transferring that you don't need to keep transfer tape on it. Okay, so the big thing to know is that you have to start with the top layer. So Flip and Flutter is going to be the smaller layer that's going to go on top of the purple. So we're actually going to start with this layer. However, we need to make sure that our transfer tape is big enough for this layer, because we're going to go from picking this layer up to putting it right on this layer. And we want it all to be able to be picked up with the transfer tape. So I'm going to cut a piece that's large enough for both pieces. So I can pick up the first spot, and then once I've got it on there, then I can pick up the next piece. Okay. So the next thing you need to know is that sometimes this stuff lifts while you, okay, that's all right. The light went back out. Sorry, guys. So this, your vinyl sometimes will lift because this is like static clingy almost. And sometimes it drives me crazy because it does it where I don't necessarily want it. You do want to kind of guesstimate about where you want your, there we go. I know I want this about to be in the middle. So I tend to just kind of put it down in the middle and kind of try to fold down and then just do one side and get that side kind of folded. And I actually like when I tape it to my desk like I'm doing, because it holds it down. And then I use my Cricut little scraper, and I just scrape down and then I scrape up. And yes, I kept that box on there, and I'll show you why. Okay, so then I'm just going to peel this up, and everything should peel up with it. When you use the Dollar Tree stuff, sometimes that's where you come in with an issue because it won't peel everything up. Okay, so the next step, and this is when I tend to get really mad because sometimes it lifts and I'm not quite there yet. I'm not ready to put it down. But what I'm doing right now is I'm lining up those two squares. That's what I'm trying to do right now, as close as I can get them. And then I should be able to lay this down and it should be on there perfectly. Boom. So I line those two squares up, and then I just laid it kind of down on one side and laid it down on the other. And then there we go. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to scrape and I'm going to scrape. Registration marks. That's what those are called. Man, that took me a while to remember that. So I'm just going to scrape that really well. Now, I will say, if I'm doing a project for a client or one that I know I've already messed up on, sometimes I will tape that bottom layer to the desk because I have had it lift up and it landed where I didn't want it. So I get kind of mad about it when it does that. And you just peel it all the way up. And now you have your beautiful design. Now, this doesn't have a backing. If I were to use this transfer tape, I would need to keep it on this cut piece from my white. And I don't like to do that. So that's why when I send it for a client, I use the other transfer tape, because it comes with that backing and I can make it look very nice and professional. So now that I have my decal, I'm going to bring my product over. And I'm going to flip this up actually real quick. One of the things you want to do before you put vinyl on just about anything is you just want to clean your surface with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And I have this handy dandy little container from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to wipe that down a little bit. This just makes sure that you don't have any fingerprints or oils and things like that. And it helps the decal to adhere. I love this little bottle. I got this at Dollar Tree, and it's a little pumper. So you can just pump, and I put my stuff in there. Okay. All right, so I've got this ready. I've got my decal. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and peel those registration pieces off. I don't need those anymore. That was just to line my design up So they just peeled right off of that transfer tape. So yay! That's a good way, especially if you have a lot of layers and you're really struggling with those layers lining up right. Now, the fun part is just placing your decal. And ooh, I got that really close. So my big thing is I need to make sure that I don't go too far to one side when I lay this down. I want it to be about middle. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to normally I would lay it down in the middle, and then I would do the same thing. I would wipe on one side and then swipe it down on the other. But I think what I'm actually going to do on this, because I want to make sure that I don't go off the edge, is I'm going to go ahead and lay it down all the way in the edge first. I think that's pretty good. And then you just have to decide, you got to line it up, make sure you have everything where you want it. I think that's pretty good. So I'm just going to start working your way one side to the next. Whew, yeah, that was pretty close. Could have probably gone over a little bit more, but this is for me. I just want to make sure I didn't ruin it, and I didn't want to have to cut it again. And now I'm just using my scraper to just scrape that on, make sure everything's nice and neat and is adhered well. And then you just peel up from the corner. Go a little bit slowly because you want to make sure that you want to make sure that nothing sticks. Sometimes using your finger to press down gives it a little more pressure. Yeah, see, that worked. So you just got to make sure that you're not missing anything. So I'm kind of watching all the areas, especially those the dotted eyes. Boop. And then there you go. All right. So I will say I do save this if I've only used it for one. And I just take it and I just wrap it back around there. Because I could still use that piece, you know, probably 2 more times at least. And it give me a good adherence or whatever. These little pieces can just go in the trash. And then there you go. You've got your decal on your item and it looks really nice. I do have a couple little bubbles, but I will say the bubbles tend to go away. Just have one like right here. I've noticed that the bubbles go away just in a couple days, or if you just set it in the heat a little bit. You can also use your hair dryer, kind of run over it just to give it that heat. If you have a bubble that is just persistent, you can use a push pin or like your pin pen, that very fine blade, and you can just kind of pop it and then use some heat to run over it and it will kind of shrink that down. So, but for the most part, I tend to just leave them because after a little while they will go away, you know, as they adhere really well. And that turned out so cute. I love it. And now my plan was to kind of put it up, you know, in my videos or whatever somewhere. I'm not really sure. I just thought it would be cute to be on my little desk. This was $1, this little easel, and I just thought it was really cute. And I was like, oh, that's perfect for my logo to go in my new office setting. So now you know how to make your own vinyl decal, how to cut it, how to weed it, how to apply it together and get it all in one little piece so it's a beautiful little vinyl sticker and you can put it on all your different surfaces. So you could do this with your tumblers, your notebooks, your little signs if you have them. There's a lot of different things that you could put your labels on or your decals on. So hopefully now you know how to do that yourself. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. If so, don't forget to give it that thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you can be notified when I post my next tutorial. Thank you so much for swinging by my channel. Bye!